Okay, guys, let's go ahead and jump into things. Like always, none of this is financial advice. Always do what's best for you. Just use this for your education and entertainment purposes. Just a quick recap on the market. So the market is in a very dangerous setup going into the jobs report, but I will show you a couple ideas here. So the danger in the setup is, you see this is a beautiful top, right, for the Dow Jones on the 45-minute, a left shoulder head, right shoulder with a neckline that just, oh, it so wants to break so bad, in a 3 of 3. And in fact, this could be another 1 2 1 2 here. And that's what I call the crash setup, when you have a 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. All we need is the 3, and the 3, the crash, will define the move down tomorrow, would define the correction, right? How big, and where we get the 4s and 5s, and then they'll rally and so on. Now, but that's the setup, right? It's the setup, and we still are torn between two scenarios where we top out in B with a rug pull in C, all the way back to those August lows, only to rip higher one last time as the market force, that controls this market wants one more pump going into December, and then you get your spectacular crash. Now, if there's no guarantee this 5 will happen, we'll have to wait and see how this wave plays out and what other instruments are showing us before we get too excited to buy the dip in this area. But this is what I'm thinking. This is what I've been thinking. Now, what if it just makes a new high from here? Well, then we're obviously already in wave 5, and this is some kind of 1 2, and then we'll get 3 4 5, right? That big pump that everyone that expects. Almost it almost seems too easy, too simple, and given all the news out there, it almost seems hard to believe that's going to happen. But who knows? Like, if we get the pump in the SPY, we'll put the 4 there, and then this, you'd have a 1 2 3 4 5, boom, over. But if we don't get that, it could be this setup where you get this big surprise, like crash here, C wave, flat, no one sees coming, and then you get a massive pump into the Christmas Santa rally, and then maybe change of power January, that time frame. It happens, everything's cool with the election, and then the new guy or gal comes in and starts flexing, right? Like flexing their power, their executive orders, and really rattles the market or something like that. That could be the setup I see here. Now, again, there's no guarantee, so we'll have to be careful if this plays out buying the dip here. But I believe that this is the count so far, but the jobs report probably will define whether this scenario will be negated or not. Now, the SPY doesn't show as dangerous of a pattern. It does show like 5 down. So you could maybe get a wave 2 pump on the jobs report, but maybe it isn't as big as people think. And, maybe we can get up to 572 and then drop later, over the weekend. Maybe the bombs start flying, and then we get to drop, and we still complete this flat pattern. So you see what I'm saying? So they may not get this like pump to new highs here in 5 to 578 or higher. It may just be something like this tomorrow, a pump and a dump, and the dump could come Monday or over the weekend. Over the weekend the action happens, and boom, because like you said, and the weekend is when Biden and all prefer bombs to fly, right? Because let's just face it, everyone is slave to the indices. I almost think government policy, the first decision-making criteria is, what would the indices do? Oh, they'll go down. We won't do that. I almost say that's where we are in the cycle, guys. We're in the mania phase of a bull market that's gone on for decades and decades. So everybody trades. You got politicians day trading. You got the Federal Reserve officials day trading. Everybody worships the market. It's all about the stock market. And I believe every decision and every bit of analysis that goes on is behind what does the indices do or should do. I really believe that, and it's sad to think that policy revolves around the indices. But I think U.S. policy sure does. But I think Israel is saying, F that to your policy, to your indices, and they may just start firing off missiles at any moment. And I do believe Iran will flex back. They said they'll hit the oil fields in Saudi Arabia and some other Arab nations. They'll flex back, and then you'll have all at war in the Middle East very quickly. And then the market maker, Aladdin, Biden, JP Moore, whoever's manipulating this market will be blown up, because you just will be overwhelmed with a black swan event that no one anticipates, which would actually be the perfect way to start the end of the grand super cycle, with a historic event that no one sees coming, no one predicted, no one priced in. It's an unthinkable event, and everyone's so complacent right now. They think it could never happen or get that bad. But what if it does? What if it does? This is October, right? October, anything can happen, especially when market crashes. So here we are. This is a setup, and then the NASDAQ, little different count here. We had the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This was a short area, and it did pull back from this short area on 2. Again, could we get another push higher in 2 back up to 489? It is possible tomorrow to do that, between the 2 and 4. And we've seen that before. But, I mean, it doesn't have to. But, again, that's the setup. Okay, so there's the setup. And, again, I go back to the Dow. This is a very dangerous pattern in the Dow Jones Index. Okay, very dangerous top-end pattern here. The VIX, big breakout opportunity here. Again, gave you the wedge breakout. We got 5 up. We got the pullback in A, B, 1, 2. This could be a 1, 2, 1, 2 setup in the VIX, ready for an explosion higher to our eventual area we want at 30. Now, when we're trading in 30, then dip buy-in may be something we want to think about, because the VIX should be extended at that point and do a pullback of some magnitude, unless the VIX can actually somehow take out this peak, which I mean, that would be a calamity tomorrow. That would be a calamity in the next couple of days if that happens. So I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting this move, which I've been saying as expected. We're getting it. And if we can get that spike, that will coincide with whatever dump this may be here. And again, this 3, we may end up down here, right? I mean, when the bombs start flying, we don't know what kind of gap we're going to see, and then 4s and 5s. The ideal setup for me is a big gap down to 525, 520. Panic, panic, panic. Maybe we break this low in the panic, and the VIX is spiked up to 32, somewhere in this area. And then you have the alignment, and then you can go ahead and maybe try to buy the dip, and we can go shopping potentially for a few things. That's the ideal setup. Whether we get it or not, I don't know. And again, if we do get the pump in the jobs report, then we'll just be making a 5th wave. Then the market should top out next week with even more divergence than we have already. And then something will happen next week, and that'll be it. And then this 4 will be negated, the 4 would be in, and then it's pretty much, you don't want to think about buying the dip. You just want to look for short opportunities. But right now, I think the way to play the market is both sides as the setups come. I don't see a long setup here other than people just gambling on the jobs report, lotto play. There is a lotto play. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, you could get this C wave here. In the SPY to 572. There's a lotto play on that, right? And if you're really super lucky, you get a new all-time high. I mean, there's a lotto play. There is. But I mean, the setup I'm looking at, when I look at the VIX, I look at the UVIX, it just seems like it wants to burst higher still. It seems like it's going parabolic, right? It's starting to go parabolic, right? Which is, that's what it looks like to me. Okay, that's what it looks like to me. Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, I did give the buy, right? We got the buy here. We got a nice 3-wave bounce, which is all we're really guaranteed in the buy area. You're never guaranteed for a bottom, but you get a nice bounce. But the bounce failed right here. So the setup's lost. Now, what do I think this is? I think it's an impulse. I think this is an impulse in A. I think we'll get B. So Bitcoin could be indicated. Maybe we will rally on the jobs report. This is a clue if we get this B, and then we can get C later, and I'm looking for 56,000. Now, if that doesn't happen, Bitcoin is looking like this, and this is very bearish, right? Then it's a WX. We caught the connector wave, very shallow, and then Bitcoin's in a crash setup, a 1-2-1-2 setup, a 1-2-1-2 setup. I'm sorry, it'd actually be A, B, so let's label this a little differently. Just this is the bearish case on Bitcoin, and then we would have wave 3 tomorrow. The capitulation move down. Bitcoin would be a buy, something I would be interested buying at 56,000, like 200-ish, if we did decide to dump tomorrow on jobs report or on any kind of news event against this low of 52,008. And then we'll try crypto again and see where we're at. Now, like I said, if we get a bounce, I believe that bounce will fail if we bounce here, because it looks impulsive to me. This is just the way it looks to me. You know, unless this is a flat and not an impulse. All right, let's just jump into your questions because I can't stay on too long. Indo. So Indo is breaking out. So it seems to be a perfect stock. It's small cap growth. So the lower interest rate crowd will love it. You know, it's emerging market. So the emerging market crowd loves that. It's Indonesia, right? And they're pumping emerging markets with China, the biggest one, right? They lead those funds typically. And then you've got, you know, oil pumping, and it's an oil company. So it's like, oh my God, you got 1, 2, 3, the trifecta, right? It's the trifecta. And so maybe that's the fuel needed. But I think oil prices seem to be the catalyst. And the odd thing about this is it goes up when the market goes down. I don't know why it does that. It goes up when the market, I don't know, maybe the guy that's shorting this is hedged, you know, he's hedging himself by shorting this or something, and who knows. But here's the count I've got on it. 1-2-1-2 setup. It had a buy area, accumulation area, and a classic bull flag like pattern, breakout of the bull flag. I believe here, I'm conservative with this 5-wave count and a pullback and then out, but you can't rule out the 1-2-1-2 setup, and tomorrow it just moons, right? The oil market just moons, boom, and it's out and off to the races. And honestly, once it gets going, it's like, use your imagination. I mean, we have to go back to the bigger picture, guys. We'd be breaking the downtrend all the way since July 2022. The last time we broke a big consolidation here, it generated a move from about $2 to $3 where we are all the way to $80, $84. Right now, I don't think we'll get that big of a consolidation. If you look within this pump, this was the peak, and you had this minor consolidation here. The wick came back to retest the high. Perhaps we can come back with the same kind of fractal and retest this high, this area that I'm circling, $60, $70. But I think the safe bet is in the 20s. But I think you're going to have to decide where you want to go with it. And this is where you're going to have to do what's best for you. If this thing really gets going, I think the $20 area more than likely will be tagged, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it go even higher than that. And then you'll just have to decide how greedy you want to be. How much do you want to risk? Because when it collapses, I think it will collapse spectacularly. I think the pump will end in a dramatic fashion, and you won't be able to touch this thing again for another 2 to 3 years. That's probably what's going to happen. It's how it's going to go. So I think you're just going to have to decide for yourself how you want to trade it in terms of profit. But the setup is there, and it's at the doorstep. And in fact, you know, let's go back to the 4-hour here. I mean, it looks like it almost is breaking out here. There we go, 45-minute. So we're right around where we need to be. So it's so close, but I don't know how it'll go down, how it's going to go down. But we'll have to wait and see. If we get this 5th wave here, and then we pull back again and then come out later or not. Okay, AMC. So GME and AMC kind of trade together, and we've been looking for a pullback in both of those and then higher. So AMC is in a connector wave. Again, testing the patience of a day trader. They want it to just go straight up, but it won't. It doesn't ever do that. I believe it's in some kind of connector wave within a connector wave, and this is kind of the count. I'm looking for this like choppiness, but I can be off by a swing, and if I am, then this is done here. So, but I think the idea is ultimately look at if this is the pattern, it has to stay above 411 or it's negated. So I'm looking for a turn at any moment. GME, we've been watching my channel. We said GME, we are looking for $20, this area, 2080, 2050. We're close. We're so close. And if the market's going to pump, I just can't believe the market is giving longs an opportunity to get back in one more time. I mean, usually you have to chase it, but this is probably the last. This is the moment of truth for these GME AMC stocks. If it's going to happen, it's got to happen right here, right now. If it doesn't happen, it's going to collapse and it's going to break these supports and it's going to go into the abyss with probably the rest of the world markets. Now, again, this could be trading against the market. Maybe this is setting you up for that pump later. You know, I don't know why or how the news cycle, what will happen to create three, but I'm just showing you the chart. So this is the chart. It's just been playing out just like this, but testing traders' patience. And a lot of people are impatient and they get angry when it doesn't just go straight up. But don't get mad at me because I don't make the market, guys. I'm not that important. I'm not that rich. So I can't make it go up. I can just tell you what the chart tells me. The chart tells me it needs a wave 3, and it's going to exceed that prior peak that we had a long time ago there, a few months ago. But I believe it's taken its time. You know, it's taken its time. But again, nothing's guaranteed. And if we do break that $17 area right around there, $17.70, it's going to unravel because it's just the way it is. And then guess what? Wave 2 is just going to go deeper. People will give up on it more, and then it will pump later. And I guarantee you won't be in it because you'll give up on it too. All right, that's AMC, guys. Let's go to Donald, your question. UVIX and Tesla. UVIX has been playing out pretty nicely, right? I think you've asked me about UVIX before, and that's just been, again, a test of traders' patience down in this area. And I bet you're glad you bought it then. I know I'm glad, right? Everyone's happy you bought it down at 4 because now you just got house's money in it. So I think for now you just hold it. If it's going to go parabolic, it's about to do it. A break of 673 should really send this thing launching. And honestly, I don't know how high it will go once it launches. $8 is the safe bet, but we could see easily the $11 or $12 hit in this area here in a panic. So we just don't know. If we break out and close outside of $13, $14, then something much more, there's more of a market catastrophe that potentially can happen. Because we have this massive pattern that would break left shoulder, head, right shoulder. And if we close above 14, 15 here and close, I'm not saying wick, close and can consolidate, this thing will launch out. It technically will. And the last consolidation we saw it break. Look at this little baby consolidation. It broke, exceeded the high of the consolidation, by almost 40%. I mean, the high of this consolidation is at $50. So that's saying it could go to $80 or $90. I mean, that would be a market. I mean, that would be 1929 market, like epic meltdown, like people jumping off buildings, screaming on TV. Suicides everywhere. It would be the worst situation we've probably ever seen in our life in the market if that actually plays out. But technically the setup is there. So I just show you the setup. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just showing you the setup is there. Will the bears follow through and do it? I don't know. But I think there'll be a lot of resistance in this colored box. So we'll have to wait and see. But I believe the moment of truth is coming for this. And then if we get to this colored box, then you could see it drop to this next area down here. Again, wave 4 ends that I have, and then the market actually peaks in wave 5 later, and by end of Christmas down in this area, UVIX bleeds down, the VIX bleeds down, and then crash in 25. That's what this chart is telling me. We also broke the low here, so that also tells me that the market will be under pressure of sellers with the lower low. So I'd be actually surprised to see it come, to this area outside of this 12 to 13. But I just show that idea. But I think this is the area where, you're just going to have to decide what you want to do and where the market is. But I believe this is the area that it will have a lot of challenge to get through and could have a reversal, a dramatic reversal. So just be careful. If don't be dreaming of $80 like I just said. I just mention it for bear porn for people that are interested in that thing. Okay, Tesla went down. Mentioned that would happen. In Tesla's in a hit our sell area. I think the last update I said it would reverse. It did. Now it's in a tough position technically. You have a massive 3-leg connector here. W, I could put W here, I could put X here, and then I could put a Y, and then I could put us a move up to 340 after we get this consolidation and pullback, which we don't have a nice 3-wave move. You see how this kind of came down in 3 waves? You really want to see something like that take shape. You want to see something like this take shape, right? You want to see that to get back in on the long side. But until you get that, you can't, it's really not something I want to try to buy or buy out of hope, because I could also put the X here and then just say that's W, X, and then Y, and we're just going to go straight down, right? It could easily do this. W, X, Y, right? W, X, Y, boom. And everyone is caught by surprise, and then Tesla collapses. So I'm just saying, I don't know because I think each chance is equally likely right now. The market hasn't given us a clue. We never broke this high right here. And since we didn't do it, we don't really have a good indication of where it wants to go. You did break the downtrend, so maybe the odds are slightly favoring the bulls on this for the move up to 340, 358. Again, we pull back in our wave 4, we get our wave 5 in the market, the blow off top, go into Christmas, Tesla's at 360, then everything collapses. That's kind of the sync. That's probably where we're going, but it's really a 50-50 trade setup, but there was a short setup here, and if you shorted it at 264, 262, I would just stay short until the market stops you out or makes you close your position, because this could be an ultimate short opportunity of a lifetime. If this was X here, then you would be really pleased with the gains you're about to make in this trade. Okay, next SIL. Again, SIL depends on your count on silver. Your count on silver, guys. So silver's got an interesting count, because silver could be finished its 5th wave of a 5th wave, right? It could be topped out here, but we did pull back. And so what if the 5th wave is extended? If it is, SIL is going to go higher. But if it doesn't and we're done, SIL is done. You see, why would one go up and the other go down? It won't. So the very dangerous, look at silver, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's a pullback back down to 23, 22. So I have to think that as of now, I would be worried that silver has topped, given what the dollar index is doing. So I would say that for now, I would be cautious, but understand you're probably trading a wave 5 in SIL more than likely. I mean, unless divergences are erased, and there's really no reason to think that that's going to happen. that I can see right now. I just don't see it. Let me go to your actual symbol. So SIL, guys, SIL, the miners. The miners are tricky. So we had this 5, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have 1, but we're in 2. You see, we only have 3 up. We have the downtrend. This could be a false breakout. So we're really close. It's a nail biter, right? What do? Well, hopefully you bought it down here and you do nothing. You just hold it because this is just going to treat, but if you happen to, make a mistake and FOMO in here because everyone's human, you're like, oh, I had to buy it. I didn't want to miss the move. Well, now what do? Well, now what you have going for you is you made a higher high. So if you get the flat, it's going to find support and come out. So you're going to have to decide, how you want to stomach that. Because if you get the flat, it's going to do something like this. 2 is going to come down here. It'll probably bottom out around this $25, 24 area, and then it's going to go to the moon. That's what's going to probably happen, guys. That's what I'm seeing right now, but it's 50-50 because, again, the market hasn't given us a clue because it could also be this count, right? It could also be this count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more high, and then we get a pullback. Maybe back down to 31 or 30, or maybe we just pull back to the trend line to retest it in 34, right? That's a setup. What if it's something even different than this? What if this is a 3 here, and I don't think this is the count, but I could also, Elliott Wave says I could do this, put it up to 38, and then it comes back down to 26. You see? So either way, I got to be careful from an Elliott Wave standpoint. For both scenarios. So that's why you have all these. So that's why it's like bearish in the end. Like I believe that if I'm a bull, I want to see this. I want to see this pattern play out. I don't want to really see a marginal high because maybe we'll pull back to 33 and go out, but we could also pull back to 25 if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But either way, we're pulling back. I don't see it as a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I think that's uber bullish. That's a perma bull count. And that to me is not realistic count and an outlier count. And silver and all the divergences across the board in the precious metals and the dollar index don't really support that kind of moon action. A 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 type. So I think right now I'm just going to go with this count for now. But I am looking for a pullback. Even if we can make one more high, I would be looking for a pullback of some kind. Then we'll have to decide, is it a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we pull back deep? Or is it a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and out? And we'll have to really study the RSIs carefully to figure that out. And maybe even some of the stocks that are in SIL. That may give us a clue, which takes a much deeper analysis to do than I'm going to do here. All right, Dylan, Yang. Oh man, China. What is going on with China? Ooh. FOMO into China. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's to the moon. So China, like I said, guys, I caution you that it could go higher still, like at least make it up to where W is because we're in a much bigger connector. It could even go higher than that. It could go up to this 24, 5, 25, 26, even tag the downtrend line, the historic downtrend line that it has. You could even tag that here. So I'd be careful, shorting it. There's no short setup here. There could be, for brave people that are brave, you could try to buy a long position to play, the trend higher, because clearly people missed this move. And more than likely, people will want to buy the dip. They won't be able to help themselves unless the world markets are in just a horrific state for some reason. So there's your little dip buy, right? A little dip buy that you can get in and maybe catch a little, scalp, or just maybe get lucky and get another push higher to this area. So Yang, that symbol Yang should kind of do the same thing, right? It should pull back. And then if you're brave enough, you can try to buy that pullback here. What is it? Yang is, that's the bear shares. Okay, bear. So Yang is in an interesting spot. I won't recommend buying it because of what I just said. However, I will show you why is that colored box there? Well, because the Fibonacci extension projected this to find support at 365. So it is, so what to say is the market is over leveraged to the long side while the market could still grind higher. So it does need like a real big sell-off, but I believe it could still push higher, and that means Yang could trade sideways to lower in this area. So I wouldn't buy it yet. I would wait. The ideal setup to buy Yang isn't here. I mean, to me, it's kind of just guessing. To me, like I said, like, yes, you're going to may get this pullback. Yang may rise, but I think if you can make it up to this area, then the odds are incredibly in your favor. Much better odds if you can make it up here, and then your odds are spectacular if you could hit this downtrend line if you're patient enough. But here it's risky still, and I'm not taking that. I did think about it, and I wouldn't be surprised if it did top there. But I don't see using my system a trade idea to do that yet. I would rather be a little more patient. But sometimes I miss moves because of my system is more conservative than other systems that are out there. Okay, VLO. Let's go to VLO real quick here. VLO. What is going on with VLO? All right, so we got this 4-wave. We're still on the trend line, so it's a valid count. Okay, and it's like kind of like do or die for the 4-wave here. You know, it's kind of like, yeah, I could break it a little bit. It's okay. But it's like do or die. So we need that 5th. But this is obviously a choppy mess. Let's take a look. So the weekly RSI, we broke the trend line here. Could it be 3 waves? So here's the thing. We have to respect the corrective count, the 3-wave count. Let's go to a bigger picture. So we have to respect this count. So I think I don't see why that won't happen, but if we break that low of 130, I would be out of it, because then we're still in this wave 2, and it's going to do something like this. It's going to do a flat. It's got to do a flat like that. But it'll be buyable again at 97. So it's not favored to do it. That's pretty, I think, unlikely, but it's not impossible. So if I was like looking at this myself, I saw that turn up. That's a great sign that it is reversing and we're getting that wave 4 action that I was hoping for. So that's kind of what I would be looking for here. So good luck on that. I mean, but if I was in that trade and it broke back down and broke that low, I would have to leave. I'd have to leave it. See, the 4-hour is about to end the cycle here. So it's very, it needs follow through tomorrow. We need some follow through tomorrow on the upside. Okay, Nick, let's go to your question. GME. Yeah, so GME, mentioned that earlier. GameStop, the bull setup is still there. It's not lost. Definitely testing the patience of the day trader. And my count has still been this. Put a 2 here, 5 up, 2 down, 5 up. Predicted this 2 down. We're getting it. So if I look at this 2, we have a tight connector wave right here. So if that plays out, it projects a buy at 2046. And then I think it's it. I think the market's got to decide at that point. I don't know. Maybe it could do another 5 waves and pull back later. I mean, but that's what I'm looking for. Something like this to play out. And we'll have to just wait and see. The real sinister move would be a bounce and failure, right? It could, let's say tomorrow it pumps early and then it does something like that. That is still possible. So ideally, I'd like to see it drop to this area using this as my connector wave. And then it's hopefully a rocket launch of something good happens. That's what we hope for. I keep saying that technically my counts are right. Our bulls will work out as this low holds, and I will use the after hours data just so I have the right number here, which is 1759. So 1759 to me needs to hold, or the bull case is negated in the short and midterm, but not negate it completely. Just negate it until you get a bigger capitulation move, right? Because then we'll come back down to retest these lows, which I believe will hold. It actually will hold, but I think a lot of traders will get frustrated and leave it, and then also lose a lot of money. But good luck. That's the count I've got. There's your downtrend line. When that line breaks, that should do it. So every time it's come up to the line, it gets rejected. So that's what happened here. But we predicted it with the 5-wave count with the bearish divergence. So this was an easy, idea, right? Now it's like, when is it going to turn? I think it's still got more downside, personally. Okay. TLT, guys. So bonds making a move, rates going higher, right? Why is that happening? Because the traders are confused, and also the market may not be as bad as we think, and and everyone's trying to trade this news, but we do know ultimately rates have to go higher. Now, if oil moons, the Federal Reserve has a big problem on their hands, because then that's inflationary. The port strikes is inflationary, right? Those are inflationary events that they have no control over. But at some point they'll have to raise rates again if inflation gets out of hand through those events, if those events infect our financial system. Now, is that the reason for wave 3 here? We never knew. We know wave 3 is coming. I was thinking maybe constitutional crisis, government debt crisis, that type of thing. Well, maybe it has nothing to do with that. Maybe it is just massive inflation. Oil, because of a war in the Middle East that gets out of control and oil prices go to 200 plus a barrel, and the Federal Reserve, like Arthur Burns had to do in the 70s, raise rates again because of the issues that he had in the Middle East that kind of popped up that didn't help his cause, right? It went against what he was trying to do. Now, he had a lot of political pressure to lower rates and keep them down, and he succumbed to that pressure. And that was a major factor too. But he also had a lot of shit happening in the Middle East when he was in charge of the 70s, and that didn't help matters with inflation. So that is a Federal Reserve's worst nightmare, because they can't let inflation get out of hand and then worry about the job market. At some point, they'll have to sacrifice one or the other. They won't sacrifice the job market, but if inflation goes double digits again, they're going to have to say F the job market, guys, because at the end of the day, they can't have the financial system collapse because inflation is running away at 10+%. Society will break down at that point, because inflation hits all levels of, society, right? I mean, so I believe like at some point, that's what will happen. So maybe that's what we're seeing play out. Maybe we're seeing this puzzle come together finally. We were wondering, maybe now the picture is now it's all coming together. So what is the TLT going to do? I think the TLT is going to new lows and it's going to fall. It's in a counter trend bounce. That move could be over sooner than we thought. We talked about this on my last live stream. We may not make it to 3.6 on the 20-year. We may not make it because the 10-year, the 7-year is already in the buy area for rates, or short area for bonds. The 2 years in the short area turned up. The 1 year is in the short area. So you've got the short end of the curve ready to roll higher. It's ready to go. The long end will succumb to that pressure eventually. The long end will succumb to that pressure eventually. So just be careful with that. So TLT, we can go to that real quick. TLT here. TLT would be in my ETF basket. So TLT, looking at it again, I warned you guys that this three-leg bounce could be over. We finished the fifth wave, bearish divergence, and that divergence is playing out. This cycle is over. There is no guarantee it will ever come back above 1017. There's no guarantee. I can't promise you an extension in C. Now that you made a lower low with a connector, it looks like it's definitely got some more downside coming. Then it's either going to bounce or it's going to fail. And if it bounces, great. So I do believe we're going to see this is the line in the sand here at 95.15. And either we make another swing higher, and this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or it's not, and it's just going to collapse. But I believe it's dangerous, and that's why I was like, you guys got to have to decide how much money you want to make on this, because the C leg, there's no promise it could go higher given what I just showed you, the setup, where the short end of the curve is, what oil is about to do. What if, so like all those factors go against this idea here. And the technicals show an ABC corrective move. So good luck. I would say you're just going to have to decide what you want to do. If you want to play this bounce and hope it comes out, and if it doesn't, you're just going to have to at some point cut your losses as it should rapidly collapse back. I believe a break below 87.53 would pretty much do it for me, or this trend line. And I'll try to draw a trend line here if I can. That trend line. So if that were to break, that would also be a sign that the move in the TLT is over, and a little sooner than we all thought. Okay, can't stay on too long. Indo, covered Indo earlier, but just in case you didn't hear it, Indo pretty much is in a great 1-2-1-2 setup that took some patience to play out, finally played out. We got the news we wanted. And now I look at it as a 1-2-1-2 bull flag breakout. Now I'm just being conservative to call this a 3-4-5 with another pullback and then out. That would be what I'm thinking, but it doesn't have to play out that way. It could easily, it doesn't have to play out that way. This could be a 1-2-1-2, 1-2, and just moon tomorrow. That's it. And then you'll have to decide, if it goes into the 20s, will I sell it there? Do I want to play for that $60 or $80 region? That's a personal decision you'll have to decide. But I would recommend taking your profit and keep watching it like a hawk, because it probably will collapse rapidly when the pump is over. And then I would leave it and go look for something else to trade, because this was the setup we were waiting for all along. It's almost not fair because we got in at the end. There's been people waiting patiently for months. But here it is, the 1-2-1-2, and now we wait. And see what happens. That's the setup. And like always, I can be wrong, so do what's best for you. Did we break that peak today? We didn't break this peak at 489. That'd be pretty significant once we do. So just keep in mind, there's a couple of things we need to look at. So that's the count I've got right now. All right, Victoria, let me go to yours. Elf here, Elf, let's go to yours here. Elf Beauty, it looks like one we've looked at before, and it's kind of a mess here. Not sure. Trading view, moved my charts around. So we were looking for more downside. We definitely got that. So this, just looking at this pattern, that's a classic wave 5 right there. That's a classic wave 5 cluster when you get all that overlapping waves. But it does look like we need a bounce and another low looking at this count. So I would be looking for a relief rally, a pretty big one, and then that should fail one more time. It's gonna be hard to predict exactly the buy area. I would be definitely looking at the longer term indicators to see trend line breaks, because it's easy to get the counts wrong. So when that line breaks on the weekly cycle, then it is over, the correction's over, and it's just mislabeled. So that's why you can't always trade by the label, because it's easy. I can always tweak the label, right? I could put the 4 there, the 5 here. I could tweak these labels a little bit. So, but I'm just showing you what I think. I think it's got a bounce and failure. It's obviously still in the weekly cycle correction. So but it does look like this needs a counter trend rally soon, right? We got bullish divergence on the daily. The daily cycle will come back up, and that should bring up this wave 4 here. All right, let's go to the next one. TRIAS USTD. All righty, crypto. Let's take a look at where we are. So we lost our connector wave. We got a bounce where we expected, but then it failed. So we're still in B then. So we're still in B. This is our connector. So now we're looking for the ratio of divergence, and we're getting that. So I want to see a little bit more, a little more downside there. So looking at the chart, again, looks like a WXY, correct, a 3-wave pattern that moved down here, 3 waves up. So now you have 1, 2 here. So I'm looking for another push lower, then that should do it. Or at least get another bounce, but that bounce should be more significant than the prior bounce, right? So I'll be looking for a little more downside. As long as that low at 67 cents holds, and actually it doesn't even need to hold in this structure, but I believe this needs to play out more to the downside, and then it bounce. And again, if I think Bitcoin still got another swing lower, then why would this go up, right? Again, I always believe if the king falls, so does the kingdom, right? I mean, if the king is gonna die, right, the kingdom will die with it. That's kind of how I look at the market. And this looks like a 1-2 of C. So and that's the capitulation we're missing, that wave 3 of C, and then it should be over. So that's what I'll be looking for. And yeah, 2 can go higher, but I believe I'll be looking for that sequence to end, and then a much bigger relief rally, bounce, or bottom. Okay, Alwyn. Oh, Zimmer. Yeah, Zimmer was pulling back. I had my eye on that today. Again, I'm in capital preservation mode. I'm being very picky about any long trade I'm taking. Very picky. Because again, I'm not foolish enough to think my stock's going to go up while the rest of the market's going to go down. So Zimmer is in a buy zone on a shorter time frame. Again, I was staring at it today for a trade, but I'm being a little more conservative with my capital right now, given the market setup. But you can decide what you want to do. I wouldn't be surprised if it finds support here and rallies, but I think it's dangerous. You know, if the Dow is going to do what I just showed you, why would I think Zimmer would go up? I mean, maybe it could. Maybe it's that the market's that wonky right now. But I think right now that's the count. Now, so maybe tomorrow we bounce and fail. Maybe we just fail tomorrow. We got this gap. That gap also bothered me a little. Because these gaps these days tend to get filled. Let's look at the daily. Is it a daily gap or not? Yeah, a little daily gap there. Yeah, it's a daily gap. So yeah. So my thinking is, technically, it's due some kind of bounce, a relief rally, like how oversold on the 45. It's due a bounce, a relief rally. Now maybe we get a little bit more downside, and then we can relief rally out. If we could do that, then I think it maybe 2 is in. 2 is in. But here's your wave 4. But then again, you know, so it's tough. You're going to have to decide what to do. But I believe it's bullish, right? Ultimately, because on a bigger picture, right? Inverse head and shoulders, neckline, whatever you want to call it, and then you're about to break out of it, and it will break out. It's just, it's at resistance, and it's just it's kind of struggling, and you can't break through this kind of resistance on a wave 5, right? There's just not going to happen. So it got rejected here, and now it's got to decide, is this enough capitulation, or is it going to need a bigger shakeout here? And you'll have to decide. But this could, if somebody was like, I got to go long tomorrow for the jobs report, my God, I got to buy something, I got to be in calls, God help me, then this is something I would be buying, right? Because this is a great technical setup for a long trade potential. And then you could have the tailwinds of the market behind you pushing it higher. And it looks like after hours, it may be trying to fill the gap after hours. Interesting. 2080, if that's the right price. All right. So I'm trying to go through quickly here the super chats. XRP. So I saw the SEC is trying to bring its case back to XRP. I caught some news clip that they're like appealing the decision. I mean, are they crazy? I mean, geez, I don't understand those guys, but whatever. Okay, let's look at XRP and see what happened to it. I bet it sold off on that. It probably did, right? Like I said, I can't watch all these symbols every day, so I haven't really been paying attention. But I did mention the chance of that bigger pullback, and it looks like that's what the market decided to do. So it's okay, cool, whatever. We just have to play it out in a little different look. But I think the ultimate destination doesn't change, and I just think weak hands getting blown up, trading the news. So it looks like to me we just have this flat correction here in X, and I did mention this, that watch out for it. It looks like that's what we're getting, and could retest this wick, where this wick is. It could be truncated here. We just don't know the nature of it. It looks like to me you've got some kind of 5 waves here down, and then you have your 3. It looks like a 4 and 5, like one. Ideally you get one more push lower with some bullish divergence against this bottom. So right now you want to see that bullish divergence, and then that would be the 5. This indication the 5 is in. That's what I'd like to see, ideally. Or you watch the long-term technicals and see if the correction ends. Let's look at the 40. Yeah, I'm kind of keep an eye on the 45. I think it's getting rejected right here. Let's see. So you just broke through. The shorter time frame isn't giving us a clue. So this divergence is you're seeing in the wave 3, 5, but you need to see this wave 5, and you haven't got it yet. So yeah, there's really not any clue that I can see. Maybe the other clue is the trend line here. When that trend line breaks, C is over. When this downtrend line breaks is another way to do it, but that's what's happening. So they drop news on people, and then I'm sure somewhere down here they'll lose their appeal, or they'll never mind, or something positive, and people will be like, oh damn, let's go back, and that's how the market trades. It's like really fickle, right? Weekends. A lot of people trade the news. They read the news, but they don't realize a lot of the news is used to manipulate the market by the big guns, and then they control the news, their drops, and you're just not important enough to be in the know or control that. That's why a lot of these news flashes I worry about. Like, look at the China news, guys. I mean, do you speak Chinese? Did you listen to China media or Xi Jinping, speech? Did he say he was pumping the markets? I sure as hell didn't read anything. I follow a lot of dudes out of China, a lot of China pumpers, man. I look at who people I follow. They're pro-China, man. They didn't put any shit out about market pump. You know who said the market pumped? Some American dude that got on CNBC. I mean, I guess I could believe him. Does he know Chinese? Did he listen? Who told him? You see, like, why would I put my whole stack in China off of some dude going on TV saying that's time to do it? I mean, I don't know Chinese. I mean, all the China news I follow, not one thing came up
from real Chinese authorities that I know, that I fought, that said anything about market, pumping or printing or what. All that shit I'm hearing about China is coming from American news media on American TV, guys. So good luck. I'm just saying, even Kramer's a little skeptical, but he won't say it because he can't, because he'll be calling out the billionaire class that is pumping right now. So he can't call it out like he wants to. But if you read between the lines, he's very skeptical too. And I would be. So you guys got to be really careful trading the news, guys, because the news can be used to manipulate the market tremendously. That's all I'm saying. Now, if someone on my channel, is in China, Chinese guy watching me or a gal, please, tell me what you heard, because I sure as hell didn't hear, and I don't know Chinese, but like I said, the people I follow, the news I watch, didn't say anything about any shit about that. And those same people, the ones that I saw about the virus back in December 2019. I knew about the virus, guys, in 2019 in December, based on the news I watched in China emerging. That shit didn't hit the news media until like late January, right? So I tend to follow people that always are ahead, but this news even caught me by surprise. So I'm like, that's why I'm really suspicious. Really suspicious of this China pump guy, not of China, but of like, where did the news come from? Who listened to it? Where's the articles? Where's the actual Chinese, mouthpieces saying, I can't find it, right? I just don't see it out there. I just see American billionaires saying it, that they heard it. Okay, cool. I'll just put my whole stack in because I believe you. Like, no way. I'll never trade the news. Never trade the news. All right, let's go to MLGO, Johnny. MLGO. All right. Let's go to MLGO. MLGO. MicroAlgo. Ooh, 13%. Did we finally come to the end of this thing? Maybe we came finally or at the bottom. Yeah, looks like we did maybe. So let's take a look. Or are we still in this wave 2? Let's take a look at the structure. So we have 5 here. So we're probably still in this wave 2. So that's okay. Hopeful. Now, the first sign would be the break. So if you were trading this chart and we broke 28.2, the minute you broke that and got the pullback, that was a long signal. You could have got in at 25 and then you would have been able to, I think you'll be able to double your money. So that was how you trade it. Even though the chart was off, it's still, you would have had some money. Maybe you didn't get the exact bottom, but you would have been able to get in. You see, that's how you would have traded it. Now that it broke, now it's in this wave 2 still. Because this is going to have to continue to pump. So everyone's trapped, and there's no divergence. You did exceed this peak. The wave 2 can end now at any moment. I look at this chart still, and I still see that it needs another swing higher to finish, because you need an impulse off this low now. You need to finish that 5-wave move. And you really don't have that yet. So I think it's got more upside, but once that's finished, then that 2's in. So this was a flat correction. It didn't extend. It was like a flat correction, and then it should collapse after that. So, but this wave 2, this C leg, it could go back up to even here. So, so that's why. So you're like, oh, damn, I missed it because the chart's wrong, whatever. Well, that's okay. Boom, it got invalidated. Once you break that high, it becomes bullish. You're going to have a bullish breakout. So as soon as you pull back, you go long. Then you still make the money. It seems almost not unfair to people that held it and manipulated it and got all in. But that's how you trade it. That's how you would have traded it. So that's just like a way to trade my system. Okay? But that's how it works. That's how it works. Okay? BGS. And again, guys, it's $5 a symbol. So I'll do the next couple, but I'm only going to do Mustafa, the first one. It's $5 a symbol. That's the rule. going forward, or it's not worth my time to do this anymore. Just unfortunately, it's the way it goes. I got a lot going on, and it's fair to everybody else too. We had dudes giving like 8 or 9 symbols or whatever, so it's like at some point I gotta have some rules around this as I get more followers. All right, BGS guys, BGS real quick, Carl, and again, I got to be done here at 6 o'clock, so I won't be able to finish. If there are super chats after that, I will either have to come back and do them later, and I will get to them. So there's your buy right there, $6.01. So you're close. I'm looking for one more push down. So you're very close to it. Let's look at the RSI real quick. Oh, you see you got that capitulation. Okay, there you go. You got divergence. So not there yet. Yeah, I'm looking for one more push lower. One more push lower. It's close. It looks like 3 waves here. So let's just take a look here. So you have this, actually it's an ABC correction. It's a 5-wave correction. So 1, 2, yeah, I mean, if I was doing this right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3, 4, 5. That's it. Boom. That's what I'm looking for. Buy 6, just under 6. Ideally above this low, right? Above that low. And then wave 3 is born. That's the hope. BG Foods. That's the hope. Something like this. That's the hope. And again, that low doesn't have to hold, by the way. It just would be nice to have it. And that looks like 5 right there. So it looks like wave 3 is about to looks like we just entered. So it looks like tomorrow it's going to be down in this 3. Maybe you'll get that capitulation tomorrow. As everyone got trapped, bought the dip here, is trapped, and they'll find themselves blown up, and they'll dump it, and then you can pick it up off their hands for them. That's the way to trade this. So this is a trade setup. It's a long-term investment setup too. I don't know what BGS Foods does. I've never heard of them. I mean, if they're a grocery store, I don't. They're not around where I live, so I don't know what they sell there. I don't know if they're good, but it looks like whatever's going to happen, it should find some buyers. Or is it even a grocery store? What does these guys do? They're like a food distributor. All right, let's add that to consumer staples and keep an eye on it. I'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens. Okay, yeah, Mustafa, I'll just do your first one. Carvana, Carvana to me, we got that 5th wave up. That was the key for Carvana to confirm that wasn't this massive corrective rally. So that's actually good. And I mean, I was dissing Carvana personally. Like I bought a car recently. I dabbled with them. And what I didn't like about those guys is you had to pay for the car to be shipped to you to even just check it out, right? Even to just check it out. You had to pay, and then it was non-refundable. And I was like, screw that, because what if I didn't, and I'm not going to just do that. So it did make sense to me. So a lot of the choices is kind of like you got to buy it blind or you're going to lose $1,000 shipping it. So to me, that made no sense. So looking at this count, it looks like to me, we thought the wave 5 ended here, but it extended. So we're in an extension in wave 5. And I think that looks pretty obvious, right? Let's take a look at, you still have the bearish divergence here. Yeah, you still have it. You still have it. And you have the 3 of 5 right there. So yeah. So this is just it's kind of like a mini blow off top in this count. But that's what I'm looking for. And then typically you lose the whole 5, right? So when we come back down, we got to come back down. we should come back down to this area. So I'm not looking for actually a big pullback now. And here's the thing about Carvana. I'll finish up. I was like, but there is a convenience, and there's a lot of people that like the convenience, right? Because you could just click it and you don't have to deal with the bullshit at the dealership, and people like that. So, I mean, I get it. It wasn't for me, but I do see like maybe that's the future, right? I do see like that point of, it's a nice, millennials love it. The Gen Z love it, right? My Gen Z drivers, to them, that's how they buy they're not gonna be like, fuck dealership. They're just going to look like, want to click on shit and buy it. So I can see like the future, like they'll figure it out eventually. A model that makes it a little more profitable for them. But this is what I'm looking at. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be bought here. We're looking for that. This would be a long opportunity. And yeah, way back on my channel, way back in the day, we actually got the low here. But you had to be really brave to take it. But then we saw the inverse head and shoulders break out, almost like what Zimmer is doing. And then we even had to buy here. That's why it's colored at $40. Back then, that seemed like ridiculous price. Now it doesn't seem so ridiculous, I guess, if you bought it here. So again, the system I follow does work a lot of times, not all the time. But when it does, man, we get paid on my channel if you follow me. But I am looking for a pullback, but that pullback should be supported for more upside in the future. I think eventually taking out this all-time high. So I think this is an opportunity that you don't want to pass up if it does pull back like this, down in this area, low 100s. Okay, let's go to Coinbase. So Coinbase is tricky because, again, the crypto count. So Coinbase, I look at this structure as we topped in 5 waves off the low here. Go to the higher time frame. Clearly, we're correct in the whole cycle, right? This whole cycle's over. We have divergence between the peaks. Now, I wouldn't put the 3 there. It's just the count doesn't make sense. So I put the 3 where it's appropriate. But still, to me, it's impulsive. But regardless, it's pulling back. Now, look at that deep. You had that capitulation right here. This looks like 3-way. This looks like, to me, a triple correction, a 3-way. And then it does look like it's over as long as this low holds at 146. Now, what if that low doesn't hold? Well, then we have to go back to a more classic count. This is kind of an unconventional count that I was going with because of the RSI reset. So what that tells me is the reset will be even more severe. So what this tells me here is, again, there's your connector wave, and then this little drop here is just the first wave, and it needs another 3 waves down. So so if we break, I don't think we're going to break 142, but if we break 142, then what this count is going to look like to me is something like this. And then this is going to do something like this. And the target is going to be somewhere, I think, my guess, looking at the support and resistance area, my guess is that we tag that line right there or somewhere in this vicinity around 120, 119, if that is going to play out. But to me, for that to happen, Bitcoin, that's the Bitcoin going to 42,000 scenario. That means Bitcoin has a capitulation move that no one predicts. Now, if Bitcoin can go to new highs and it bottoms at 56,000, then this 2 is in, and then this pullback is just an impulse that's just gonna need some time to finish out, right? Like this. Perhaps we bounce and fail. Maybe it's a crash. We come back down to 1. Maybe go a little lower. Maybe I could put the 1 there. Maybe it's even bottomed for all I know. So I don't see a good trade set up in Coinbase in the crypto, but I do see 5 up. I see a nice 3 swing down. I see capitulation. I mean, to me, I do think the future is bright, but I think there could be some more pain coming, possibly. But that's what I see. That's what I see right now. That's what I see now. Yeah, I'm just looking at this overall, and this looks like a big three-wave move. This looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This looks like an ABC. The bottom's there, and then we came out. So that's how I look at Coinbase. Okay, so I got through all the super chats. I have about a few minutes up. I'll just scan through the comments real quick, guys, and see how everyone's doing. I'll take a look at cannabis sector on my own time and give you guys what I think. I haven't really looked at that in a while. Yeah, Humana. So Humana collapsed. We got the pump connector, but the connector failed. So once it fails, it takes another leg lower. It did that, and it went. The thing was, it broke the low, and then it rallied a little bit into earnings. So it was actually a great short setup into not earnings, but into that news event. And then the news hit, and it collapsed. Maybe it was earnings. I don't remember exactly, but I saw it collapse recently. But it is. There will be a buy area there. Yeah, I do believe the options market is being used to manipulate the market, or the VIX, and through the options, or like that there is like some connection between the VIX and options and market manipulation by big entities and market makers. And I do believe that will fail in controlling the market when it does turn and collapse for the grand super cycle, and those entities will be revealed because they will be blown up. They won't be able to open for business anymore, and they'll be needing a bailout, and we'll all get to read about it. And then we'll figure out after the event what the F they've been doing all these years. And the bears will be like, damn, that's what you guys have been up to. We had no chance. No wonder all this collusion and shit, right? I mean, the bears have always, like, these setups like we have now, the bears always blow it, right? But because it's always like trap. And maybe there's another trap, right? Maybe this is another one of those setups, and you do get this big pump tomorrow and next week, but at some point, that, by the very nature of the end of the grand suit, will have to come to an end. That will be over. That will be done for. They won't be able to do it. The dip buyer crowd, they're going to be blown up. It's going to have to happen, right? The institutions will be blown up in the end of the grand suit. That, by definition of the great, because if not, then it isn't the end of the grand super cycle. So I think that's the type of calamity that the market will have to have take place, and it will happen, because a parabolic move can only go on so far before it collapses on itself, right? I mean, like I said, I always go to my long-term charts here, right? Like, this is the classic chart for people that are new to the market, because I get all different people that follow me, and they're like, what do you mean? The stocks just go up forever, because that's what Warren Buffett says. And dude, yeah, maybe they go up forever, right? But, like, I mean, look, you tell me, is it just going to keep going straight up? I mean, just straight up? I mean, what's it going to do? Go backwards? I mean, at some point, you have to say, your logical mind will have to say, look, even if I just do this, like, and this is how I teach my eight-year-old to stock trade. Just, like, do this on the chart. Let's draw some lines. Look, just draw some lines like this, right? Just draw some lines, right? You don't have to even use any technical indicator. Just draw the lines. And when the line goes straight up, it's probably time to sell, right? And okay, yeah, we're so close, right? We're almost there. You tell me, is it time to go all in with your stack right here? Are you that, like, delusional to think it's just going to go like this? Like, maybe it could for a little bit longer. It isn't going to do that. At some point, this parabolic move will end. And if you guys are all traders, which most of you are that follow me, we all know penny stocks that go parabolic, growth stocks that go, they all end the same way. A massive three-wave move where about 85% of the parabolic advance is erased. It happened because that's how it goes. That's how it rolls. That's how the mathematics of the market work. That's where you are in the grand super cycle. So yeah, you could be delusional and go, it's just going to go straight up. Okay, well, even if it does that, the minute it makes the first downturn, it's over. The bubbles burst, and then it's just going to collapse again. So like, that's where we're trading. You guys have missed the move. Now maybe it's not your fault. Maybe you were still sleeping in your crib back in this time frame, and it's not fair, right? It isn't fair for some generation, like the younger generation. They missed a lot of this easy money, and it isn't fair because they'll have to ride this, but it will create generational wealth, just like these dips did here, and even here to some extent. But more importantly, this parabolic move is going to end. Mathematically, it takes exponential amount of money and pumping and stimulus to get just an incremental increase in the parabolic advance. That's the law of exponents. That's the law of that's just that's mathematics, guys. That's the laws of nature. That's the fundamental law of the universe. So every dollar of stimulus has less and less effect exponentially than it did earlier. So at some point, we just don't have the money. No one has the money in the world. Inflation will take it's over. It's over. And that's what we're dealing with. So I'll leave you guys with that. Good luck. I got to run, and hopefully we'll see what happens tomorrow. Maybe I could fit in another live stream during trading hours, post job report, and see what kind of